On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtremelyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtremelyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
Hey, this is Steve D at Xtremelyfe Media. I am here today with a true pioneer, a true legend in mixed martial arts. I mean, I'm here with the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. Ken, it is an honor to have you on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, man, it's awesome having you. I mean, your career spans more than 3 decades of mixed martial arts. You're a UFC Hall of Famer. I think you were inducted in 2003 into the Hall of Fame. You're a 4-time UFC heavyweight champ, the first super fight heavyweight champ, the first pancreas heavyweight champ. I mean, the list goes on and on. UFC or WWF tag team champ, WWF Intercontinental champ, 4-time Tough Man champ, TNA heavyweight champ, King of the Ring champ, and first Pride super fight champ. I mean, that's an impressive, crazy career. I want to know what makes what does it mean to you to be a pioneer, one of the original pioneers in MMA?
Well, when you put all the hard work in, it gives you a sense of a good feeling when these records get brought up or the things that you've achieved over your career. So you hear those titles being brought up, and it's kind of like, okay, I guess I did do something.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you are definitely an impressive human. I mean, to pull all that off. I mean, that's you've just been in the game. I mean, what keeps you going every day? Like, can you think back to when you're working through all that stuff? What motivation drives you in that?
I think it comes from my upbringing, not having a lot as a kid, going to juvenile hall, being brought up in a group home, being adopted by my dad, instilling in me that you can achieve anything you want to, but what he adds to that is that what are you willing to do to get to where it is you want to go? And I think that's kind of what my lifestyle is that someone could say, hey, you're too small, you're too short, or you don't have enough skills. To me, I just think to myself, there's nothing I can't achieve if I'm willing to go through whatever it is I need to do to get there. And that's kind of been what my thought process has been every day through my career, was like telling me I can't beat somebody, I'm an underdog. Or even if I was favored, I would never, ever take a day off and allow my mind to get weak and get soft because I didn't put in the work I needed to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, and I hear that so often from fighters who have been around and have been very successful, and from anyone really in life who's been very successful. It's not often like that they came from this, they came from a tough background where they've had to struggle, they've had to push, and they've had to face adversity in their young life to kind of develop that motivation and drive.
Yeah, it's true. You see a lot of that in sports where kids that struggle, maybe they've had a one-parent household, or that they've had a broken home with parents fighting, and they run away, they get in trouble, they get through the system, and it kind of instills the ones that are successful, that don't allow their minds to go to a place of defeat. They continue to keep fighting, even though it may be in the wrong direction or doing the wrong things. But eventually they figure it out which way to go and to be successful and do the things the right way.
Yeah. And I think it's the ability to face that adversity and just keep going, right? That, you know, don't get discouraged by it. I mean, get motivated by it, right? And you know, I think you have to face difficult challenges in life in order to learn how to be, successful and win. And that's exactly what you're saying, I think, and it's great.
There's an obstacle in life for everyone. And I don't know how many times people have to go through it, but the one thing I always think about is like, if I get up more times than I get knocked down, then I'm going to succeed. So throw however many obstacles that's got to come at me, but I'm going to keep getting up and getting over them. Absolutely, man.
And Lord knows you've done that. You've come, you've done so many things. It's amazing. And a truly impressive career. And, one question I had was, because you were a WWF wrestler plus a MMA fighter at the same time. What is it like balancing that? I mean, that's got to be an insane schedule.
Yeah, but the mindset to me was like, whenever I was going into whatever situation I was in, I was focused. So I knew what I was going into. I knew what I was getting into. And I knew how to train to be successful. So it wasn't like I was getting confused on where I was at or what ring I was in or what cage I was in. I knew whatever situation I was in, I knew what I had to do to be successful.
Yeah, and that's a good point, And does, because I know a lot of times now fighters will because, since the beginning of UFC and since the beginning of MMA, things have kind of changed quite a bit. They've moved, now they have designated rounds where when you started, it was just kind of like go for 35, 40 minutes and until someone's knocked out or submits, So, what do you...
It was like an Iron Man, right? It's like, hey, jump in there and two guys enter and one man's going to walk out.
Yeah, no, and I love watching those old fights because, it brings back memories for me because I remember watching them when they were happening and I'm like, wow, like UFC 1, I remember that when it was going on, so it was definitely a really cool, it's cool stuff to kind of go back and look at now.
Well, it's funny when you talk to some of the people from today, when they see some of the matches, especially the Royce Gracie, the second fight I had with him, they're like, man, why did you sit in the guard so much? Why weren't you doing anything? And it's like, they don't understand. There's no rounds. It's not like you can go and rest after you get 5 minutes. You go back, regroup, go back in. You are in a fight. And if you blow your wad in the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, there's no resting.
Yeah.
So you have to conserve your energy and make sure that whenever you had your opportunities, you capitalized on them, but you didn't overcommit and blow yourself up.
Yeah, and I often say, because I train constantly both in CrossFit and MMA and different things, and I always tell people, try doing anything really hard, like go your red line for 30 seconds, see how you feel. See how you feel.
Yeah, especially when someone's trying to punch your head off or try to end your life with choking you unconscious with the rope. You don't want to get tired.
Yeah, no, you don't want to get tired against guys like Royce Gracie or Dan Severn or any of those guys. I mean, they're killers, right? They'll find that opportunity, wait for you. They'll purposely want you to get tired. They want you to work, and people don't realize how hard it is when you're in those positions. Because I studied jiu-jitsu, and I know what it's like to carry someone's body weight around with you. It's not easy.
Very skilled. It's a very skilled technique. I think the term used for the Gracie style, which is very relevant, is like an anaconda. They don't move a whole lot, but the more you move, the tighter it gets.
Yeah, and you could see that in when he fights. I mean, it's just and that's that. You've had so many great matches throughout your career and great opponents, and is there any particular one that's particularly memorable to you?
Yeah, I would say probably the ones where I was able to capture titles, only because those titles I captured were because they were first, like the paint race one.
Yep.
That was first. The UFC single fight, super fight belt, which all the belts go through now, that one with Dan Severn.
Yep.
The one was in Japan was, I believe it was Yamada in the finals to win the belt. for the first time for that mixed martial arts organization. So I think those are my favorite and most memorable ones. But I've been in the semi-main event and main event ever since my second fight in my career. I've always been main event or semi-main event.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely, you're definitely the, like I said, you're one of those guys that has been kind of at the top throughout your whole career. I mean, you've pretty much, since you came into the game and at UFC 1, what was it like now? Because I just want to take you back for a second to UFC 1, if you don't mind, and go into what was your thinking coming into UFC 1? Did you have any idea what this was going to turn into for you?
No, I just knew it was special, because whenever you can get two guys in the ring and there's, supposedly supposed to be no rules, but there were rules. It's crazy to think you could kick a guy on the ground or hit him in the back of the head or punch him on the ground. It was nuts. So for me, it was special. I thought it was exciting, and the way that the crowd reacted to it, you knew that this was special. The only question was whether or not it was going to be legal.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of, people were saying at that time, I believe, if I remember correctly, that this is too brutal for the United States, too brutal of a sport to have, because you guys weren't even using gloves at that time. I mean, that first fight, there was no gloves. There was nothing. I don't think that showed up until I think Dan Severn might have been the first one to wear gloves.
No?
Tank
Abbott.
Okay, Tank Abbott.
Yeah.
And that was, that was, I forget what UFC that was, but that was, not till like 8 or 9, I think, right? So
yeah, it was crazy because he brought those in, and that was a great idea for people, but I thought it hurt the sport.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what it comes down to is, I mean, I think what people don't understand about those 4-ounce gloves don't give you a whole lot of, I mean, your face still takes a beating, right? It protects your hands. It protects
it protects your hands. Now you're able to do more damage to someone's brain.
Yeah. You could actually, and we see a lot of that, people getting CTE, things like that, from just getting hit in the head repeatedly. It's a tough game. It's a tough sport. And, and you're kind of like this enigma where you've been around, I mean, you look at what's a normal average career in UFC or in MMA period, like 10 years, maybe?
No, I think it's put down to 5 years.
Is it? Yeah. All right. Might be. Yeah. And to be around for 30 plus years, think about that. That's one hell of
I don't have to think about it. I just wake up every morning and I'm reminded.
What if you were to, I mean, I don't know, are you planning on fighting again? Are you pretty much done at this point, or are you, what's the plan? What's it look like for Ken Shamrock going forward?
I'll never retire. So if the fight happens, it happens. But I'm not going to go in and fight some 24-year-old kid in his prime. I'm not that stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got it though, man. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you're definitely, I think once you have that, you really don't lose it. It just kind of, you get a little older, maybe a little wiser.
Yeah, I think you picked your fight.
So, tell me a little bit about, I know you're involved in a promotion now called Valor. Can you talk about that a little bit? Tell me about Valor. I think that's pretty exciting and pretty cool.
Yeah, we talked about my love for the bare knuckle, and then of course the gloves and how it protects the hand, not the person's getting hit. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I came up with the Valor bare knuckles, because I fell in love with that original style, bare knuckle, no rules, anything goes. It was pure. And you didn't need a gi or wrestling shoes or tape on the hands to be able to make you a great fighter. I think God-given talent, bare knuckle, step in, mano-y-mano, best guy wins. And that's Valor Bareknuckle. And that's why we came up with it. It's a vision I had along with the pit. And the pit was more of a thing where I wanted fans to be able to, when they bought a seat on the floor, like they felt like they bought the best seats in the house.
Yeah.
Whereas they're not trying to look through things and can't see stuff. It's a vision. It's like being right next to these guys fighting, because there's nothing separating you and the fighters in the pit. And so with those things there, I thought Valor was this vision I had to be able to bring back that love I had for bare knuckle fighting, the purity of fighting, mano a mano. And so I think, personally, my opinion, that's the next big combat sport. We're going to take it to where it's at right now, and we're going to make it more professional and more accepted within the fight world.
That's exciting. Like I'm really interested and excited to see where that goes, because are you facing the same obstacles UFC had in the very beginning with like people saying that's too brutal or too brutish? I mean, it's generally, I think, people who don't really understand the sport, but are you facing those obstacles, or what obstacles are you facing now with that?
Yeah, that's exactly like when the first UFC came out, where people were saying it's barbaric, the animals, and they didn't understand how much technique and training that went into actually doing it. And of course, then we didn't have a lot of medical science on the actual bare knuckle of punching someone. But now we have that. And it's definitely clear that if you pad the hand with a 4-ounce glove and tape your hands underneath and punch somebody in the head, that means I'll punch you 20 or 30 times in the head and I won't hurt my hand.
Yeah.
But if you take that glove off, I ain't punching you 20 or 30 times in the head. I got to hit the soft tissue. I got to be more accurate. And therefore, it makes it more professional to be able to ease up on the power and to be more accurate with your striking. And to me, that's where the professionalism of bare knuckle boxing comes in.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. I mean, I could tell you from firsthand experience, not bare knuckle boxing, but but from even hitting a heavy bag, right? I tell people this: if you want to understand that, hit a heavy bag with no gloves on for a little while. Do that for about a minute, then put on 4-ounce gloves, then put on boxing gloves, and you will understand how. I mean, think about this: when you're hitting that heavy bag without gloves on, how much do you want to hit that bag again?
Right. Yeah. Especially after you hit it multiple times and you're like, okay, that don't feel good.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's definitely, great point, though. I mean, that is a great point, because people do have to be more accurate. They have to concentrate where they're hitting more, and maybe throw less shots, and maybe you have less CTE, less injuries, serious injuries, because it's not, you're not getting that cushion on your hands that's kind of just driving those punches, those radical amount of punches that we see.
Well, visually, it looks worse because there's more blood. And, of course, when you punch with a bare knuckle, every time you hit somebody, whether it's a jab or right hand, hook, there's a chance of you getting cut just because of the bare knuckle. But when it comes to the brain damage, you are not going to sustain brain damage as you would if you would have put a glove on and hit 120 times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, it's not necessarily the blood don't give anybody brain damage, right? Blood doesn't do that. It's actually the movement of the head, pushing against the skull, the brain hitting the skull. And that's what's actually causing that damage, when you
look at the brain in your head, it's in fluid. And so it's balanced in there. So anytime that it hits on the outside, it doesn't matter how hard the surface is. It just knows that the brain, whether you're getting hit with a pillow or a punch, the brain is bouncing off in that head. So every time you hit with a boxing glove, that brain is bouncing off the head.
Yep. If
you hit him with a bare knuckle, brain is still bouncing off the head. The difference between bare knuckle boxing or MMA is that I'm allowed to hit you more times in the head without hurting my hand.
Yep. No, absolutely. And, you know, and that's going to be, I can't wait. I mean, are you guys are shut down right now? Are you still going right now pretty much? I mean, I know there's a lot going on here. Everybody's trying to bring everything back online with all this. And this pandemic kind of hit in the worst possible time for a lot of people with a lot of, I mean, there's no sporting events for a little while. Now they're starting to come back up. Is that a challenge for you guys right now?
Yeah, we started out, we had a great show. A lot of people acknowledged us. So Valor Bare Knuckle is coming back either at the end of 2020, which is near, or the beginning of 2021. And we've been building our platforms and engaging with the fans through our social media to keep them all informed on things that we're doing and how we're moving forward. But we're not done. We're looking forward to 2021 for Valor BK to take over the combat space.
And I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to definitely make a point to make it out to to the events if I can get there. Do you have plans for where the next event's going to be held?
Yeah, we're in talks with a few different places right now. So that will determine on what that date will be, depending on which one of these venues will give us the dates that we want.
Okay, cool. And I'll just put this out there. Florida's wide open right now, you know. They just opened up everything down there. So
yeah, we know Florida's there.
So yeah, that's great. And you also have a podcast, right? I just want to make sure I don't leave that out because I want to make sure, you know, we talk about that. I'm calling this the world's most dangerous interview, but you have the world's most dangerous podcast. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And that way, people can, where they can find it and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's KenShamrock.com podcast, and you can find the world's most dangerous podcast there. But the reason why we did that podcast was because of us not being able to move forward with Valor. We wanted to keep our fans engaged. We wanted to keep them informed. And we wanted to be a part of their lives. And being able to have a podcast gives us that connection with them to be able to keep them informed and also be engaged with them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely great. You know what? It's like the world of podcasts right now, man. There've just been so many coming out, and a lot of really great ones. I mean, it's just a whole new market that's opened up now in the last few years, I think. And it gives a lot of people a platform, including yourself, my podcast. You know, a lot of people this ability to get out there and do some cool things. You know, and that's great, and keep the fans involved. As I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on here in the future with all of combat sports, really, but that's definitely one that I saw. I was like, that's interesting. Bare knuckle boxing. I haven't seen that. I don't think we've seen that in a long time. So,
well, and I think there's a lot of different organizations out there doing kind of bare knuckle boxing, fighting, whatever. But what we did was we took boxing and we basically just took the gloves off. No grabbing and hooking and holding and punching behind the head, because that allows fingers to get in the eyes and mistakes to be made with headbutts. So with us, man, your hands have to stay closed the whole time. You can't be doing this or grabbing people because people get poked in the eyes. So it's straight up boxing, bare knuckle, and it's basically the boxing rules, which is just taking the gloves and tapes off. No tape.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can't, like I said, I can't say enough. I can't wait to see more of that, in the next year. And like I said, I'm definitely going to try to make it out to some of the events. So as of today, like the fighters of today, I don't know, how much you're following or not. I'm sure you are, because you're Ken Shamrock. I'm sure you're watching people and seeing what's going on. Who are some of your favorite fighters of today?
Well, there's a lot of them, man. I think from most weight classes, it's, you got at least 10 guys in each weight class that can actually challenge.
Yeah.
But you got those 1%ers.
Yeah.
You know, the John Jones, the Moachek. Just some special guys.
Yeah. Well,
And it's fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. And you got some really great guys out there. You know, John Jones gave up his light heavyweight title and moved up to heavyweight now, so we'll see what happens there. I'm curious to see what happens between him and Stipe Miocic. We got a really great fight coming up in UFC 254. We got Khabib Nurmagomedov against Justin Gaethje. That should be...
Hey, Khabib needs to fight Conor McGregor. Come on, man. That's going to happen. That's got to happen.
It's going to be that'll happen again, I think, down the road. I just don't know when. You know, there's a lot of talk about who's next and you know, what's going to happen there. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I think it's kind of, we're almost in a renaissance of combat sports right now. I think once we get through this pandemic time period, we're going to see a whole lot of really cool stuff coming forward in combat sports, including Valor, you know, and a few other things that are happening. Is there anything else? And Ken, I just want to thank you again for your time today. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got a bunch of things going on. Is there anything else you want to put out there today? Anything cool going on that you have coming forward?
Yeah, on the weekend of the 24th, I've got a Bound for Glory wrestling pay-per-view show coming on. And on that weekend, I'm being inducted into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. So if you want to tune in on the 24th of the weekend. Access TV will have the information, but it's Bound for Glory for pay-per-view. And that weekend will also be, I'll be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
That's awesome. So that's another thing I'm going to have to, when you come on again, I'm not even going to say if, I'm going to say when you come on again and talk to me, I'm going to add that to the list of that intro. Cause I mean, you know, it just keeps growing, man. And, you know, it's just, it's been an honor talking to you today. You know, it's just amazing. I look forward to see what happens for you and where you go in the future and what you're doing, because you're always up to some cool things. And, you know, keep fighting, man. Keep going and keep, you know, I mean, philosophically keep fighting. Don't, you know, you fight if you want to fight, but, you know, keep trucking in that direction, man, because it's definitely awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And I thank all of you for listening. I appreciate you having me on, and have a great year. The rest of the year, hopefully it's better than the beginning part of the year.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I mean, we're coming to the end. I'm kind of just, I'm taking 2020 and kind of throw it in the trash right now and just kind of saying, you know what, I'm waiting for 2021, and, you know, hopefully 2021 is a much better year, so.
Well, let's get past these elections, and hopefully things will start looking up.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, thanks again, Ken. I appreciate it. You know, I look forward to Valor, and I look forward to talking to you again down the road. And, you know, awesome. I really appreciate it. It's been my honor having you on the show today.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve, and thank you so much.
No worries, man. Have a great day.
You too, brother. Peace out.
Be good, my friend.